Now, we've managed to pull this lady from the depths of her, look, I've got to say, highly respectful other job than playing football, which is being a firefighter. Emma Swanson, welcome.
Thank you, guys.
Now, we try to have Emma in. The reason I start with that, we tried to have Emma a little bit. She texted me at 2 a.m. And it was very much appreciated because I was absolutely butchered. I've been away for a week and we had Emma and I was ready to go, but I was also like, when Emma texted me, I was like, oh, this is early morning. You are a firefighter in your spare time and you are on a job, and she had the respect and knowledge and foresight to say, I need a little bit of break here. I need to sleep.
Fair enough.
So you are here. We're going to get into that a little bit, Emma.
Yeah.
You're a BackChat fan, I hope.
I am a BackChat fan.
So you know what's coming here. The greatest sporting achievement, the first question we ask every guest we ever have on, we want to know what you can do. We know you're an AFLW star. We know you've won best and fairest. We know that you've been in all Australian squads. We know that you're a captain of the side.
Pretty good.
We know this, don't we, Dan?
Mm-hmm.
But I want to start with, we don't really care, just for a little bit.
No.
I want to know what you can do not on the football field. What's your greatest sporting achievement not on the footy field?
I knew you guys started with this.
Good.
I had dinner with my family last night and I sat down with Dad. He listens to the show. And I was like, Dad, I need help. Not because there's so many to choose from, but because there's probably not that many to choose from. We nailed it down though. T-ball state championship is about the only thing I've won.
Good.
But
Mate.
it was epic.
Yeah.
It was so cool. And I don't know if it really looks like this, but it felt like it was amazing. I can picture myself on third base, whipping the ball in. I was probably I was probably 11 or 10 or 11.
This is the exact areas that we need. I'm sorry, I don't need to see any national champions as an adult. No. I want under 10 state T-ball champion.
Awesome. It was so good. But yeah, now when I look back, I watch a 10-year-old throw. I'm like, oh, I was either felt way better than that or, yeah.
What team was it? What was the team?
Rockingham Rams.
The Rockingham Rams.
Yeah.
Ram Nation.
Yeah.
I not to like talk shit about T-ball, but I thought that would at that age you're sort of converting to softball or something. But T-ball,
I reckon it must have been pretty close because it would have been my last-ish year, and then I think a lot of the boys I played with went on to baseball, and I gave it up.
Yeah.
So it was a mixed team?
Yes, was. Yep, I was the only girl.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huge.
Did you have a bit of that growing up?
Always, yeah. Pretty much until I played soccer, which was after footy had finished for me. That was an all-girls team. Basketball played all girls. They were the only two sports I played all girls. A lot of the time I was the only girl, yeah.
So Emma Swanson, captain of the West Coast Eagles, very happy to have you here. Let's go back to the start. Exactly what you're talking about.
Before we go to the start, I was just thinking about more, because you are a firefighter as well. Do you ever get into the, I've seen it comes up online sometimes, like the races that the firefighter people do where they run
so
with a
many
ladder.
people have asked me this.
Do you get involved in that?
No, that is. I think it's like I don't know if like the volunteers like do training and stuff. I actually don't know. I think it's more American based than.
Do you think that's what firefighters do? Do you think they?
Well, in their spare time,
I'm happy for people to think that that's what we do.
Do you think they're just working, perhaps?
Scaling up ladders real quick and like throwing themselves over walls?
I have seen it. It's pretty.
It's elite.
That's definitely. If you've watched me pitch a ladder, that I'm definitely not like that.
If it's all right with you, Daniel, I would like to find out about.
Let's go.
And come back to firefighting.
What else do you look at?
What is life growing up like for Emma Swanson as a kid in sport? As you said, bit of mixed stuff. I can imagine the pathways are different now, right?
Oh yes, so different. But even then, like I don't like to talk about it like, oh, poor me, like it was, because I knew no different, and there was no foresight to say there's going to be a women's competition. It's going to be World Cup, Matildas. There's going to be all this amazing stuff happening in the future, and you guys just kind of have to deal with this now. There was none of that. We never knew that was going to come. So, it was amazing though. I loved it. Very active. I've got a younger brother, so he played footy. I didn't pick up football from Auskick to under 12s. I played, I think it must have been like under 11s and 12s. Halfway through one season, I got into the team and played out the rest of the season. So I didn't play a lot of junior footy, but I did play with the boys a little bit. But he would play Auskick and I'd go and umpire and just kick the ball around, and we'd play a game out the back. Like football wise, my dad was still playing, like played Masters and stuff. So we'd go down and watch him, and we'd get our $5 and he'd play 3 or 4 games in a day, and we'd just hang out at the canteen really.
Are you better than your brother at footy? Surely.
Nah, he's pretty good. He's, you know, like those classic stories, like all the ability but just no desire. And I'm like all the desire and probably missed out on some of the ability. That is us. If you could combine us, yeah, pretty
the
cool.
ultimate player.
Yeah, he's very skillful, huge left boot. Just didn't really want to run. Did a couple of years with Peel Development, but yeah, I think that didn't want to do the fitness stuff.
So you're from Mandurah originally?
Yeah, Rockingham. Yeah.
Is sport a big part of growing up?
Yeah, it was. Like even my parents, like my mum was playing basketball. I could always remember watching her play. She played netball, basketball, tennis. Mum and dad played mixed tennis. We'd go down on Friday night, watch them. As I said, dad was still playing. So sort of like entrenched in us as kids. We'd get to pick a winter sport, and that was our sport. And then summer, I did play T-ball, as I was saying before, but there was sort of like no athletics or cricket for us. It was we'd go out boating and water skiing and stuff like that. So it was sort of like winter sports go nuts, summer sports peel back a little bit because we wanted to enjoy the sun and go camping and stuff.
I remember I spoke to Ella Roberts a few weeks ago, and just sort of on this topic of the pathways being a bit different. And I agree with you. It's sort of there's no sob stories here. It's sort of just how it was. But she spoke about she's played footy since she was a kid because she's of that generation that. I hope I'm not making you feel old here, Emma.
Yeah.
But like she sort of said, well, I haven't really known anything different playing footy throughout. So it sounds like you were across multiple sports. Do you reckon that was a good thing for your sporting development?
Yeah, I think it was. But if you gave me the choice now, like I would have loved to go right now if I could be 7 years old and go and watch the W on TV every weekend, hang over the fence and watch these amazing women play and choose one sport to play the whole way through. I'd absolutely do that. But also being able to play multiple sports and bounce between. But a lot of the times bouncing between them was because you got to the end of. So I only finished playing footy because I wasn't allowed to play anymore. Then I was like, oh, what about I'll go play soccer because it's similar. And then I hated that. And I was like, I'll play basketball because it's, easy. The school had a team. I could train at school, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And sort of it just fell with that until I found football again.
Yeah.
So I think if I did have the choice, I'd do an Ella Roberts pathway. But I guess what I'm proud of is that girls do have the choice now, and that's because of not me, but the generation that has been through before me and my generation as well.
So what was how did you get back to footy? Like when did that happen?
Yeah, we had I used to catch the bus to school with some people who lived in our area, and one of the girls was like, I've just started playing, it was the Rogers 2020 Cup. I think it was like 2 20-minute halves. Peel had a team. It was like Peel Thunderbirds. Like all the waffle clubs would put together. I think it was maybe under 21s. I can't really remember. And it would play in February over 4 weekends. And the winners played off in like a final. And that was before the waffle women's competition played, but that was like your more women sort of things. This was like an underage-ish kind of thing. And she was like, you should come to training. I was like, oh, like I'd love to play footy. But then, and my brother was like, yeah, you should go. I got home and mum and dad were at work and I was like, I'd have to ride my bike to training. Nah, it's probably too far. Nah, like made every excuse. My brother's like, nah, just go. I did. I just went and I loved it.
Did you ride your bike?
Yeah, rode my bike down.
That's
yeah.
Was it down at Rushton Park?
No,
You're not riding from Rockingham to Rushton Park.
No. At the time, we were in Secret Harbour.
ride.
Yeah, it was only in Singleton. It was probably a couple of K. Okay. I think I was just making excuses not to go down. But eventually went down. I'd come from basketball, so my fitness levels were definitely not there. I think I played 2 weekends, and we were playing at Lathlane, so every game was up at Perth. And I think it was maybe like the 2nd or 3rd week, Dad was like, if we're going to drive you all the way up here to play, you need to start doing some running because you stink. I told this story the other day to someone and someone was like, oh my God, like what did you do? And I was like, oh, I started running.
Yeah. And
they're like, oh, like most kids would just be like, nah, that's it. That's me done. But yeah, I guess that was, he knew that he could say that kind of thing to me. And started running laps around the block. And I think I had like the natural skill of kicking. At that stage, like a lot of girls hadn't grown up playing, or no one had grown up playing. So if you could kick, you kind of stood out a little bit. So it didn't really matter about the running, but he was definitely like, no, you need to be able to run. Otherwise, we're just sitting up here watching you keel over.
So with you're riding a bike, then do you also remember your first car? Because we are powered by Fleet Network, of course, powering the podcast. First car after the bike?
Yeah, I had a champagne-coloured Mazda 323.
I knew it was going to be a Mazda. Why did Mazda do the champagne range?
I don't know.
It's such a bad colour.
It is a bad colour.
Like,
with a 6-stack of CD in the boot.
Yeah,
did it?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
What? So you used to be able to load up the CDs?
Load up 6 CDs in the boot. Yep. And you could flick through them in the front.
Wait, so you had to open the boot, put the CDs in, and then...
Yeah, unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you reckon's happening around the boardroom table at Mazda? Like, right, we need to put this in champagne. Like, and we need 4. No, let's go with the 6 CD stacker. Because, like, my memories of driving around, I used to have like a full CD case.
Like the case, yeah.
Because I didn't have the 6 stacker. I had the, I was manually putting my CDs. I mean, you're showing your age here. You did have CDs back in the day as well, right? So
yeah.
So it sounds like, if we're back on that, the dad story, it sounds like he was a driver of standards for you.
Yeah, definitely. Like he was pretty tough.
Yeah.
And I always remember, like, it's not something that's scarred me or anything like that. Like, it was just normal for us, but you'd know if you played well because you wouldn't say anything, but you'd know if you didn't play well because you just feel it. And like, I remember I think this is a bit later on playing footy, maybe a bit older, 18, 19, and driving home, and I'm just like, just say something. Like, just tell me I was bad or tell me I was good. Like, I just want to know. But usually, like, if he was like, oh, you're all right, you probably had 38 and kicked 3.
That's so, when you're telling that story, to sound like that was footy home for me as well. Like, if you didn't play well, it was silence, and it wasn't berating, like, punishment. Yeah. But you just knew. I think, like, looking back on it, it actually drives your performance later on as an adult, because not that you're trying to impress dad or anyone else, but you're just, like, ingrained in you that you got to play well.
Yeah, I think over time, like, you learn you don't need the reassurance from coaches or anyone else, because I think it helps you look inside to go, I need to know for myself, did I play? Like, reflect on your own game. Don't have dad tell. You don't need dad to tell you.
Yeah.
It's sort of over time you learn that with maturity and experience. I definitely wasn't thinking that as a 19, 20-year-old.
Yes.
But over time now, I'm sort of like pretty comfortable to leave the field and go, okay, I reflect on my own performance. I don't need Mick, coach, whatever, telling me. And obviously they do, because you're at the elite level. There's 18 coaches looking at you from 6 different video angles. Like, you're going to get feedback, but you're pretty comfortable to leave. And I think that's what dad did for us, which was awesome.
Tell me if I'm wrong. 3-time Peel Thunder best and fairest, 4-time East Freo best and fairest. Is that right? You're 7-time?
No, because I only played at East Freo once, so
okay,
1 year. So that would have been pretty,
pretty
handy.
Have 4.
Yeah.
But
I think Peel maybe 4 or 5, East Freo 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, right. So I just got the order wrong. That's fine.
Yeah.
So you're the best player in the sides you're playing in. Growing up as a junior, have you been a midfielder your whole life?
Yeah.
Or just spend some time with
Definitely a fold back mid.
I was going to ask if you spent some time in the back line.
Yeah, I did when I started playing at the Giants. First year was a midfielder. Second year, Al McConnell took over. And he was like, he sat me down. He goes, "You are not a mid. You are not a midfielder."
Well, he's wrong.
I think still naturally I'm a back, but he put me down back. I loved it. I think I must have played 2 or 3 years. A couple of those I was injured, but I just loved it. And I think the way I read the game, the way I run naturally is like more of a halfback running. I like facing the game. I turn like the Queen Mary. Like, I'm not very good. Like, I can't turn. I'm not very agile. I'm a straight line runner. Like, it just suits my natural abilities really well.
You're a back flanker.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're a back flanker.
I'm happy to put myself there too.
What's that period like then between 2013 and 2016? So you get picked up in 2016, marquee player, GWS.
Yeah.
But that 3 years prior, what's the actual, like, how do you get drafted? Like, what's the story of getting drafted?
It's real bizarre. Like, telling the story now, people are like, oh, that's weird. But we had 1 game a year. So the Melbourne Western Bulldogs exhibition game, it first happened in 2013.
Yes.
I might get my years wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's 2013.
I got that here too.
Yeah, so I must have only just turned 18, and they picked so it was like a draft night. We sat at Subi, like, the news was there. It was like 2 teams just picking, like, 1 for 1. was like schoolyard pick.
What?
It was crazy. And
what did they base the picks on?
So they had that year, 2013. They had, or it might have been 2012. They had a women's state carnival, which is what they'd had for a couple of years. I think they used to play every second year, the women's. And we played in Cairns. And that's all the states, open age group. The best women's players in the state go and play in a tournament. You play every day of the week. And then I think you might have one day off before the grand final. And notoriously, it was WA versus Victoria every year. And same with the under 18s. So I'd played that year in both under 18s and the women's. And that's where they chose those Melbourne Western Bulldogs teams from. It was the first time that you'd sort of like combined all the states together. You just picked the 50 best players in the country, really. One for one.
But they did
Crazy.
a draft for it. That's hilarious.
And I've been told now just recently, because it was a 10-year couple of weeks ago, like the reunion. 10-year, 10-year anniversary or whatever it was of the first game. And I got told it was all like fake. Yeah. Like the coaches had already sat down and decided who they were picking. They just did it I was so disappointed.
Just for the drama.
Right.
Yeah. I really sat there like thinking I didn't know where I was going to go, or I didn't think I was going to get picked at all because I was underage. I was young. And
where did you go?
I think 20-something, 29. Maybe.
Wow. That's pretty incredible as a bottom age.
I think
top
I had
30 in the country.
A bit of help. Michelle Cowan was our under 18 state coach, and she was a Melbourne head coach. So
shout out Michelle. Thanks, Michelle. So you do that for 3 years though, don't you? Isn't
it? So 2013 the first game, 2014 we had one game, and then I'm pretty sure 2015 and 16 we played 2 games.
Right,
and all televised.
And you played for Melbourne or Bulldogs?
Melbourne, all 4 years.
Great, and Michelle was your coach.
Michelle was the coach.
Has she had a big impact on your career?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she's probably now at the club. Like you get these young 18-year-olds come in and they don't always know how to follow rules and be elite, and they sometimes do things to muck up. And I'm like fuming frustration. And she'll sit me down and she's like, I've coached you since you were 17. Do you not think you were like this? Like, oh. So she's been able to watch me grow the whole time, and obviously had that break in there. She coached Freo. I went to the Giants. So there was a couple of years there where we sort of went our own ways, but then came back. My first year at the Eagles, she was the forwards coach. And then took over that Adam Selwood role when he left. So, she's amazing.
Because she's been a pioneer in women's football.
Yeah.
Before you were in it, even.
Yeah, she has. She's got an awesome story actually. Like she wrote letters to footy clubs asking to help, and at one stage, like she was just keeping it quiet. Like she wouldn't tell her partner that she was coaching. She's down, I think West Perth maybe. Like picking up cones and doing what she had to do to help out. She just wanted to coach. Like she's just one of those natural people who just love people, love helping people grow.
Yeah. So 2016, you get drafted. That's a real draft.
Yes, that's a real draft.
So you're a marquee player for GWS?
Yeah. So they set it up. I'm pretty sure it came from the WNBA. When they started, they had they tried to equalise the competition, and that's what they tried to do here with the W. So Victoria and WA, as I said before, played off in every final of any state. There's no other team that had played off in states against each other. So
they're the 2 teams.
2 leading states in women's footy. Victoria obviously had a number of teams where all these girls were going to sort of get spread out, and it would equalise their state a little bit.
Yes.
We only had one licence in WA, which was Freo. Yep. So they tried to entice WA people to go. If I look back now, I'm like, wow, we would have had a really good team staying at Freo. Like they had to do it. There was no other way. It would have been like our WA state team playing against half strength everywhere else. Like
that's what happened in the men's.
Would have.
That's what a lot of people say happened in the men's comp in 86, 87.
Yeah. Well,
you could have done it.
Could have had a super team.
So why didn't you?
I think at the time, like the idea, it was just all exciting. Like, I think maybe I probably still wouldn't have listened. I was going to say if one of the older girls had sat down with all the WA girls at the time and said, "Stay here, like we're going to win flags," I would like to think I'd be like, "Oh yeah," but I think at the time I was like, "No, like." What a great way to see the country.
Yeah.
I'm such a homebody. So for me to move away from home, it was like such a big deal. And I knew West Coast were eventually going to get a team. I didn't know it would be as late as what it was. But I was like, there's always, I can come home, play for West Coast. Like,
Were you a West Coast fan growing up?
I wasn't. Collingwood.
Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
I know.
Oh, boy.
Why?
West Coast said not happy.
Well, you're from WA.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I think like my dad, mad West Coast, and my brother just played ball West Coast, and I was like, no.
Just rebellion.
You're going to pick the antithesis.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's pretty much what it was.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, but that was supportive.
Did the marquee title come with any sort of benefit, like parking spot, or I don't know? Did you hold it over the other girls? Like, hey, I'm the marquee person.
Nah, I can't actually. I haven't really reflected that much back there, but I think we got like relocation, like paid relocation. I don't think it was much. I don't think. I'd like to go back and look. I don't think the money even back then was that amazing. Like, I think to go and live over the other side in Sydney, the most expensive place to live for like $12,000 at the time, I was like, unreal. Now I'd be like, no, that's not even going to pay like a month's rent. But no, I think it was just relocation, and then obviously you miss the draft, so you're not sitting there not knowing if you're going to get picked. You were picked. I think like it was announced like the week before the draft, so you're already in the team. Had no say obviously in how the team was getting picked or anything like that, but it was just that security to go, I'm here. I think 2-year deal. So a bit of security.
Yeah.
But what was your jumper number?
17.
Did you pick that?
Yes.
Why?
I played 17 at Peel. East Free, I played 50. Played number 50.
That's a heavy number. Was I 50 for West Coast this year?
You were 88.
I didn't know they went that high.
What was it? 81.
81.
50's heavy though.
50, yeah. I think they were trying to keep my feet on the ground, maybe.
So you there as a marquee player in an inaugural season for the Giants. So it's a startup club. What's that like? Starting a footy club.
I love the Giants. Like, I've not got a bad word to say about my whole experience there. Still now, like, I watch the boys as intently as I watch the Eagles. I've still got some really good friends who still play there. It's an amazing footy club, and just so like blue collar, like they have to work. So it's really hard to explain to people who don't know like the dynamic of Western Sydney. Like, football just did not exist there. And I came from here where footy ovals are everywhere.
Yes.
To Sydney to try and do like my running, which is like 400s around the oval, whatever it is. I'm like running around a rugby, like
running in
rectangle.
A square. Rectangle, yeah.
There's just no football over there. So to see what that club's done as a whole over, what's it been since the men have been in, like
20? Yeah. Actually, no.
11
years or something.
Yeah. Something like that. It's pretty amazing to see. Yeah, the way that they've gotten now to where they are, and the women as well. They've got, since I've left over the last couple of years, they've recruited a lot more local girls, which is just testament to them growing the game in Western Sydney. It's the hardest place in Australia to grow the game, and they've got a lot more local names coming through, which is awesome. In my first year there would have been like, I think 5 Canberra girls, West Australians, Victorians, maybe like 2 or 3 local Sydney girls.
We've spoken to a few Sydney players on this pod, and they speak about that interstate. Like, you guys are over there, you don't really have any other connections other than the footy club. Was that big, the connection with your teammates?
It's so true. It is so true. And it was really hard to come back to Eagles and get the dynamic here. Like, everyone lives, like, I'm an hour from the footy club. There's girls an hour north. We're so far away. We're so spread out over here. Yeah. And we've all got lives. We've got families. We've got friends. We've got school friends. We've got all these different parts of your life. When we're in Sydney, we just had each other. It was 24/7. Where are we going for dinner tonight? Yeah. Like, now I'm out of the club. Girls, see you 2 days. Like, see you later. Message me if you need me. Over there, it was like, well, I don't know. We've got 2 days off. Like, should we go down the coast? Like, what are you guys doing? Where are we going for dinner? Like, are you doing your food shopping? Me too. Like, I'll come with you. It was just, we were just together all the time. Yeah. It's a really awesome thing. It's like, I've never been to American college, but I'd assume it's very similar. You sort of live in each other's pockets and play footy on the weekends.
the startup nature of it though, like given that it's the first season of a football club, like is there certain things that you're learning to do, i.e. the song, i.e.
Nightmare.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I'm just assuming any club I've ever played for, they've just been a footy club all the time.
Yeah.
But you weren't.
And I'd never really paid too much attention to the Giants men's before I went over there.
Yeah.
Like, why? It's hard, right? Like, why would you? This orange team comes in. I was like, orange, really?
Just a bit of a shout out. We are doing this prelim final week, so up the Giants.
Up the Giants, yeah, definitely watching intently. But I sort of had never really paid too much attention. I'm a Collingwood supporter, it's biggest club in the land, second biggest, Eagles.
Yes, correct.
But I'd sort of not really paid too much attention, so I'd never heard the song, and they hadn't really won a lot. So I was sat there in my car listening to the song. It took us, I think, until around 4 or 5 to get a win as well. So I think as it went on and on, we all sort of every week it was like, learn the song, girls, learn the song, and then it wouldn't happen. So we had weeks of practice, but I remember having a debate whether we should listen to it as a group first and learn it together before you win. And I was a bit like, no way. Like you sing it when you win. You don't sing it like in the week before round 1 just so everyone can learn it. I was like, everyone go away and learn it in your own time and then just come in and make sure we know how to sing it.
That's interesting.
Weird. That'd be weird just all standing around in a room. No, like you haven't played a game, you just start singing the song.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have someone up with like I've seen photos of like early clubs, someone holding the words up on the board.
No, we didn't.
Was everyone in the middle? Was everyone like what happened in your first win?
No, we were all on the outside.
Great.
Yeah.
It's just a giant mosh pit of people spraying Gatorade over yourself.
Yeah. That would have been awesome.
So you made the All-Australian squad that year?
Yeah.
The first year?
Yeah, first year.
That's got to be pretty special, like coming out of state leagues effectively, going to the National League and being in the top 40 players in the country.
To be honest, like I didn't really know because we'd had All-Australian, I think it was called like an All-Star in under 18s. So we'd had like that, which in my first year I didn't even know they did. So just oblivious to it. So we had like an all-star selection. For the first AFLW season, like I wasn't really sure if they did that. I knew that they did it. And the men didn't think they would do it for us. I don't know. And then when I was told, I actually don't even know if I was told. I think I found it on the website when it was like a press release. And I was like, oh,
sweet.
That's cool.
Not told.
And then they actually tell the All-Australian team like straight away that they've made the team. So I found out I was in it, and then within like 20 minutes I knew I wasn't in it. So it was just sort of like parked and moved on pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking back now, I actually saw a stat. I'm the highest.
Now we're talking.
The most. This isn't one I'm proud of. The most All-Australian squad selections without ever making the team. I think I'm number 1. So
look,
cool.
I'm gonna say I like it and respected it. Yeah. Like there'd be a lot of other players around the country with 0 All-Australian squads.
Yeah.
I
saw it on Twitter. I was like, oh,
is that a
cool?
Swan thing? He always loves it.
Is that something you aspire to, or is it about the team and team success now?
I think now, like it sounds like I'm just saying the right thing, but probably asked me 2 years ago, I reckon I'd be like, I want to make All-Australian.
Yeah.
I think now, after winning a couple of best and fairest, you sort of you soon realise really quickly team success is way more fun because everyone's celebrating. You go to a BNF night and we win 1 game or 2 games the whole season and you walk away in the BNF, it's like, awesome, I won it, but everyone else is miserable. It's not as fun when all your mates aren't as happy as you are. So I kind of feel the same thing about All-Australian. I'd love to see 4 or 5 of our players make it and have a big night at the W Awards.
Yeah.
And we all, have some fun together. But at the moment, just the way that we've gone the last couple of years, like it's hard to feel like when you are going well to really celebrate it because your 29 mates are licking their wounds after winning 1 game and not playing great footy. So it's sort of, team success is a lot more fun.
Did you take note of the people who made the team ahead of you? Like
Keep
from
the
the squad? Yeah. Next time you match up against them, you're thinking about it?
Last year I did do like a little, I was like, how many mids are going to make? This is the thing with the mids as well. Like there are so many great mids playing. And like, there's a couple of girls at North Melbourne getting like 36 a game. Some teams are killing other teams by 10 goals. So they're racking them up. Yeah, 36. 2 of their mids the other day had 36, 10 tackles and a goal each or something. I'm like, good luck,
Yeah.
so I did do like a little. I wonder how many mids they put in the All Australian team and pretty much the whole team. But no, I think they're making a conscious effort now to try and pick a winger in the wing spot and your half-backs and your half-forwards.
Good.
Which, I agree. It's how it should be. But
chuck a backman in the on the wing because they got a feeling it pisses me off.
Yeah.
So when you're at GWS, are you just footy, or do you have a job over there as well?
I did like a internship at the footy club for the first, I reckon, I was there for 3 years. I did it for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I sort of just did like, I think maybe like 3 months in each department and just got like a gauge on how the footy club ran.
That's interesting.
Which was awesome. I didn't really know what I wanted to do at the time. Started uni, did Bachelor of Business and Sports Management. I definitely have known all my career I don't want to coach. Like that's not doing that.
That's interesting.
So I think I had a really a keen interest into the administration side of it and sort of like your footy ops and stuff. So to do like that internship, sat with Dill Addison in the player welfare, which is I just mind blowing. You just don't even know that that's there really. Like a lot of people probably don't understand what that part of the club, like what function that has.
Explain that.
Yeah, so Giants in particular had a lot of young kids at the time. They ran like a first to third year program, which I'm sure most clubs do. Like our W side, we've got a first 25. So if 25 games or less, you sort of sit in a different program. And but what the guys were doing there were like they'd learn how to cook. They did like cooking courses and how to pay your utility bills and bring your bills in and learn how to pay your utility bills and helping the boys get apply to do study and university and stuff like that. So basically like how to life is really what it is, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Because, I mean, these kids, you're pulling them out of not pulling them out of home, but they're moving away from home to a organisation that everyone's expected to operate as an adult, but that they don't know. Like, I think back to my first year, Mitch Brown, I'll shout him out. He didn't know how to use his bank card. He didn't realise you could get a bank card and put it in an ATM and get cash out, or it wasn't tap and go back then. It was sort of like insert or swipe it or something.
Yeah.
He just thought, I don't know what he thought the bank card was for, but he didn't know how to use money. And like, as funny as it is, like it's bloody hilarious, it's real. Like some of these young players, they come into a footy club and they just haven't been exposed to it.
Yeah, and like, you've been institutionalised in a schooling system for 12 years.
Yes.
And then you go from there straight into a footy club. Different in the W space. We're probably heading more there now than ever before to align more with how the men's system works, like school to draft to club.
Yes.
W was a little bit different at the start because a lot of us had come from like, we had school teachers, like they'd been school teachers for 10 years. They're on long service leave. They're playing W. Like it's real different dynamic. But yeah, like as I said, we're getting closer now. But the men's system, like these guys are coming in and people watch the TV and watch what they do and they're just like, oh, they're adult, they're men. But they're like 18-year-old boys.
Yes.
Like it's crazy. So yeah, that function of the footy club, I just loved that side of footy.
Huh.
But yeah, the internship, it was really good.
What's the transition like from GWS to West Coast? How does that come about? It sounds like you had a great time at GWS and speak highly of them, but were you always keen to get back home?
Yeah, I was because like I got quite homesick at stages. Like I just missed home. I'm such a homebody. Like my family's here. Love spending time with them. Like my parents are like friends more than parents now that I'm a bit older. And like I've got a lot of extended family as well who love the footy. And my cousin Louise, she had 2 young kids at the time. She's got 3 now, but she had 2 at the time, and they were just footy mad, West Coast mad. And I knew I wanted to come home anyway, but she sent me a photo one day of them in West Coast. I think I might have seen it on Instagram or something. And I was really toying up, like I was split straight down the middle. Do I do another year at the Giants or another 2? Let Eagles establish and go through that initial, like you said, the teething problems of being a team first.
Yeah, startup.
And then I was like, oh, I don't know if I could do that again. Maybe I just let them do that, stay at the Giants. And I saw this photo on Instagram. It was the kids in the Eagles jumper. And I was like, oh, it's like football's way more than just playing. And I actually had a good chat with Erin Phillips when I was in Adelaide the year that I was like tossing up what to do. And she's like, you've just got to think about why you play. like, why do you play? And like the first thing that came to my head was family. Like, it's such a sport, connects my family so well together. She goes, oh, the answer's there. Like, there's your answer. And I was like, yeah, that's true.
It's pretty good advice.
Yeah, it was. I was waiting for myself to be like, oh, but, and then I just couldn't. So I was like, no, I need to go home. And that year I'd done my shoulder as well, so I wasn't playing, and it just got harder and harder as the year went on. Like, I wasn't playing. I think the Giants knew I was leaving as well, so I was kind of like tossed to the side a little bit. Right. Yeah, I could probably not rock up to the club for the last 5 weeks. They wouldn't even know I wasn't there.
They're taking the car park off.
Yeah.
No longer the inaugural star anymore. Out you go. So that was 2020, right?
2020, which is perfect timing in hindsight. Like, COVID hits, borders close, everything happens. Like, I would have been a mess, I think, still being in Sydney. I actually think I would have had to come home and just not play that year. Like, it would have been horrible. Because even when I was over there, like, mum and dad would come over 2 or 3 times throughout the season, watch games. So I'd see them pretty regularly. I really would have struggled, I think, through COVID. So yeah, in hindsight, like, what a great decision. Come home and not have to deal with that on the other side of the country. It was perfect.
Are you voting in as captain that first year?
No, I wasn't. Amanda Ferrugia, local Western Sydney, amazing person. Yes. She captained the first 2 years, and then Alicia Eva came across from Collingwood, and she's captained ever since.
No, West Coast.
Oh, West Coast.
Your first year at the club, you captain?
Yep.
What's that like? It's a different role, going from player, trying to get a touch, just worried about yourself, to then worried about everyone on the list. Yeah.
It is different. Sometimes I don't know if I love it, but I think I enjoy it enough to obviously still do it, but it comes with a lot of thoughts about other things. Sometimes you go into the club and you just want to be like, I just want to be here, do my thing, and just leave. And then you've got people asking you things that to them are like important things, and you're just like, oh my God, just give me space. And I think now that I'm working as well, it's different. At the time, 2020, first team, a lot of the girls I knew from playing with previously, but I hadn't played or seen them for 4.5 years, 4-ish years. A lot of girls I hadn't met before. So it was a different dynamic, and I think it was really good growth opportunity for me because I'm a little bit introverted, happy to sort of not be out there. But I think that first year it forced me to create these connections with these girls that if I wasn't put in that position, I don't think I would have gone and created the same connections as what I have with the girls now.
And your actual leadership, do you think that's like grown and you matured, and as you got older and you've grown into the role a bit more? Because quite often in footy clubs, the best player is the captain, and you're one of, if not the best player at West Coast, and you're the captain. But clearly, like, first up, it doesn't fit. It doesn't just, you don't just get to be captain and then it's all good because you're the best player. But have you got better, do you think?
Yeah, I think, definitely gotten better. It's a hard one, right? Like, if you, I obviously follow men's footy, it's 24-week season now. Like, 2 of our seasons don't even equal one men's season in terms of length. And I think that it's taken me so long to find my feet as the captain that I almost doubt myself. Like, why has it taken me 4 years to finally feel like I'm doing a good job? But then you kind of go, oh, that's really like, it's like Luke Shuey having it for 1.5 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's probably why, but it's just taken so long to fall on my feet and find where I'm at. And I think in the first year, I would have happily not taken it on. Like, I was maybe 24 or 25, coming back from 12 months out with a shoulder injury. Had a horrid run with injuries at Giants, like hadn't really played consistently good football. Would have been probably happy to just going to play, get some really good years under my belt. I'll take over the captaincy at like 27, 28. Perfect age.
When you're an old duck.
Bit older, bit more mature. Like, you've sort of, you're happy to go team first mentality. I really struggled with it at the start to go team first when I'd come back from a long-term injury and I hadn't played great footy.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge. But I think we've, probably gotten out the other side. As I said, like, I don't know if I love doing it all the time. It's got its challenging days, but it's a good opportunity.
What's the synergy like with the men's team? Obviously, you guys are in there at the same times, or is it kept pretty separate?
No, it's awesome. Eagles are so good at it. I think we probably lead the way in the competition from the sort of low-level conversations that we've had on PA calls and with other captains when we do like the captains' days and stuff. Eagles are amazing. It helps that we've got such a great facility as well. Like it's big.
Yeah.
It's purpose-built. They knew we were coming when they built the facility, so we have our own change rooms. It's just such a fantastic facility, which definitely helps. We've got the 2 ovals. In the last 2 years, this season, last season, we've started training during the day. And I think at the start, I mean, I wasn't privy to the conversations being had, but I'm sure there would have been conversations like, how is this going to, like, we've got 40, what's on a men's list, like 40 something?
Yeah, 44.
44 men's players and 30 on a W list. Yeah. Like, how is this going to, like, we've got 70 athletes all trying to use the same facility at the same time. How's this going to work? I'm sure there were questions asked, but credit to both footy ops for both programs. Like, it's been amazing. And for the girls to come in and you're kind of seen as an equal, you're using the gym at the same time as the boys, or we're out in the shed and they're out there doing touch and you're having a kick and having a chat, and the sauna got put in at the Eagles. And I think that's like the most social, like ice-breaking thing that's ever happened throughout the season, our pre-season, men's season. Like, there's like 20 people in there all having a chat, which is sauna. Awesome. Yeah.
I miss this.
But the club's fantastic with that stuff. And both clubs I've been at, Giants were really good with it as well. Different dynamic there. We trained after hours. So a lot of the time the men had left by the time we'd come in to do training. That's
to do with the availability of players, right? Because a lot of you girls have jobs.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been full-time employment with the AFLW, right?
Yeah.
That's the reason?
That's the reason, yeah. We sort of took a big leap last year because we are so fortunate we had such a young side. So our average age would have been like 20-something.
Yeah.
So you can imagine like a lot of these girls are coming in, they're not working your full-time. Inaugural year, we had, I don't know, 6 teachers or something working full-time. Like, impossible to come to training on a Wednesday at 9 o'clock. They just can't do it. Fast forward a couple of years, high list turnover, 18-year-olds come in. Let's do something that's going to increase our professionalism, that's going to help the fatigue levels. Training after hours at work, after work, is just horrible. I can't believe we ever did that. But we've gone, let's go fully professional 1 day a week. Girls, we got to do what suits the majority, not the minority. If you're the 2, 3, 4 who can't make it, we'll make alternative arrangements, but we're pretty lucky. Had 100% buy-in. Some girls leave even now after lunchtime, so they'll train the main session, lunchtime, go off to work, do whatever. Yeah. But yeah, it's been just because of it's not full-time. And it's still not classified as full-time. No. As I said, we're just really fortunate. Our group's really young and we're able to do that. I know other teams have had troubles trying to get the whole playing group to give up 2 days of work.
While we're talking about work, so I mentioned off the top you're a fiery. When did that start? How does that go hand in hand with an AFL career?
Yeah, it's hard.
Bloody hell.
I applied in 2020. It must have been 2020 when I first got home, and I had applied the year I went to Sydney as well and just missed out. So got to the last 30 people. They take 22 to 24 in a school, 1 school a year at that stage. Missed out on the school, and I was like, it's the universe telling me something. I'm going to Sydney, like perfect opportunity. Then come back, and I know that it takes people sometimes 2, 3, 4, 5 times to apply, and I'd been told I just didn't have the life experience before. I was 21, and I'm so glad I didn't get in then. 21, you don't have the life experience. That's why you didn't get in. Cool. Go to Sydney, live away from home for 4.5 years, get some pretty good life experience, playing AFLW, being an athlete, working at footy clubs, that kind of stuff. Come back, I was like, it might take me 2 or 3 years again to get in, so I'll just apply. And then it just kind of went on, and then COVID hit, and they fast-tracked everything. And I was like, I feel a bit insecure in my job around COVID. Like, it'd be really handy to get in. And I didn't know what was going to happen with footy as well. At that time, was COVID going to be a 12-month thing? Was it going to be a 2 year, 3 year
shutting
thing?
down competitions everywhere.
It was crazy, right? So I was like, hell-bent, I want the Fireys. And I still would, regardless, I would have taken it because what a great opportunity. But got into the school. The school goes for 21 weeks, and it's like, it's hard. Like, it's being an athlete's tough, but that is like there's no load monitoring, like managing. There's no fatigue management. There's like it's pretty challenging, and that went straight through our preseason in our second year at the Eagles, so 2021.
So you're doing both?
Doing well. The Fireys thought that I was just doing Fireys and not training, but I was trying to train as much as I could, reducing my risk of injury, because if you get injured while you're doing the fire training, that's it. Like, you're out.
Wow.
So they're pretty brutal.
It's like the SAS. Like it's
like a paramilitary sort of style of training, and that's like your fatigue, like your sustained high performance is fatiguing, right? It's hard work, attention to detail, ironing your shirt, doing all that stuff. But then add the physical layer on top of that. A lot of the guys who I was in the school with come from like concreting background, they're chippies, like they're used to that physical work. I'm like, yeah, I'm an athlete, but we've got a GPS on. And if you run too far, like, you're out. Like, don't worry. Like, we were very managed as athletes. And as I said, there's no management at fire school. It's just you're away, and it's pretty grueling. Pretty grueling work.
That's the point of it, though, right?
Yeah,
definitely.
Because you're going to be put under situations that are more important than on a football field.
Absolutely, and that's the best thing it's given me. I think is like that perspective of being like, you think you're under pressure when you go out and play footy. Like, I've been under more pressure than that in my day job. So that side of it, I think it's given me a really good balance outside of footy.
Does it help your fitness as well? Were you like going through all of the fiery training and then into footy?
Yeah.
Did you notice a difference?
No, I think if anything, I might have gone backwards a little bit because I didn't put as emphasis on running, keeping like footy fitness and like the fitness you have to help your body through injuries, like your glutes, like your back, like hamstrings, all that kind of stuff. I just kind of dropped all that, just did fireys, thinking, I'll keep fit because I'm burning like 3,500 calories a day. I can eat whatever I want. Like, I was skin and bones when I left that place. And then it was just I'd sort of left like all that like pre-habby kind of stuff and struggled for the next 12 months to try and get my body back, get the strength back. You sort of get like farmer strength.
Yeah.
Not like football strength or dumbbell strength.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like Bunga's pre-seasons.
I've heard
shearing
that's what he
sheet.
does.
You're pulling hoses around, carrying ladders around.
Yeah.
And you can do that as good as it gets, but then you need to be able to run.
You got to be able to run. Yep.
So that was 3 years ago, and like we said off the top, and we do appreciate it, and I loved it because, again, I was cooked when you messaged me, so I was like, thank God. But you're still doing this right now. You're captain of the AFLW side. You're up at 3 in the morning at a warehouse fire. I'm assuming you've seen some pretty, I would say horrific, like that you've experienced a bit as a fiery as well. Yeah,
I mean it's tough. Like the fire we had last week, so I had to message you and say I wasn't coming in. We got the call at about 8:30. I was like, if this is done by midnight, like that's a pretty good result. Midnight, I can go to. We do sleep on night shifts. So that's fatigue management. We can between call outs, you can get a couple of hours in. However it happens, sort of enough to allow you to not have to do like your traditional night shift. Go home, shut the blinds, sleep all day, go back to work. You sort of get enough in most of the time. Yes. I hope DFS don't hate me for saying this, but so you can, most of the time you can sort of go night shift to night shift and the day have some sort of like afternoon off where you might kick your legs up, whatever, but you don't have to, as I said, like sleep all day. Like
you're not putting out fires 12 hours during the night. Yeah. So you're trying to get some rest in.
We might go to like alarm calls, that kind of stuff, broken sleep, like you're still tired, but you can sort of push through, right? Yeah.
But like in opposed to mining where you're driving a truck for 12 hours and you need to go to sleep because you can't just be awake for 24 hours. So it's kind of like
non-traditional night shift. So I'll usually plan stuff like between and often I'll go to training between night shift, go to training, have a couple of hours sleep in the arvo, go back to night shift or, plan a podcast with you guys. And then
this was going to be sleep.
Sorry.
Well, I was that night, I was like, I'll give it till midnight. And if I had other things on that day, like I had 2 school visits to do with the club and train, like our main training before a game. So I got to midnight and I was like, oh man, we're not going to be out of here before at least like 3 or 4 o'clock. Wow. I was like, I need to cancel my day tomorrow. Yeah. I have to sleep to go to then be able to train because we had a game in 2 days. So it does change the dynamic when we're in season, because I obviously have to put way more emphasis on sleeping. Whereas if that had have happened 4 months ago before preseason started, I probably would have just pushed a couple of coffees in the morning, no dramas, just push through. But yeah, it does change like the management a bit, and I have gotten a lot better at being like, hate that I let you guys down and had to cancel the podcast, but sometimes you just have to let people down.
Good.
And that's
as you should.
Yeah, look after yourself.
Yeah.
Is it I know it's like you're going out to a negative thing like a fire, but is it thrilling getting into a fire truck and driving fast and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah. It is. We say I work with a great group of guys, and like we always have a bit of a laugh. Like sometimes our best day at work is other people's worst day. Like, but there's a range of reasons why. Like, we have to maintain training, and there's only so much training you can do like out the back at the station. Like, you want to see the red hot stuff and put fires out. Like, it is fun. Unfortunately, like it's someone's house or a car or, you know, a bushfire with wildlife and stuff. There's the negatives that come with it, but it is thrilling. And if you go a long time on station without having like a decent job, everyone starts getting a little bit agitated. And then you just get one good job and everyone comes back and is like, oh, I can still do that. It's like, I haven't ridden a bike for ages. Can I still do this? Of course you can. It's a bike. You don't forget how to ride a bike. You go for a ride. You come back and say, oh, sweet. Yeah. Put the bike away for another couple of months. No dramas.
Back in footy land, leading the team, captain of the side, leadership, all of that. What's that been like? You mentioned right off the top when I asked you about the connection with other players, and you don't think you would have had as great of a connection if you weren't the captain. How's that side been at an AFLW club? The connection with players, the ins and outs of everything but footy. Like, I think a lot of people externally think, you know, captain of the side, you're trying to lead football, but I'd assume that's almost not even half of the job.
Yeah, it's true. I think particularly now, like talking to the group that we have now, they're really young. Like I think we're the second youngest team in the comp. Someone said to me we had 8 players under 20 play or 9 players under 20 play on the weekend. So we're a pretty young group. I found it really, really enjoyable, that connection piece, in the last 2 years after I decided to embrace it. But I found it challenging at the start that our lives are just so different. Like these girls are like 18, 19, not a care in the world. Like, footy's just going up. The W's going up for them. They're probably not going to have to work in 12 to 18 months' time.
New CBAs has been signed off.
They're probably laughing, quit their jobs at Rebel, no dramas, you know. They're happy to... They've just got their life over the next 10, 15 years, hopefully, for some of them, is going to be so different to mine. And Dana Hooker's another one. Like, she's a mum. She's got a 7-year-old at home. She comes to training and we're just like even her, like the difference between her and me, like my life would be crazy, not to mention her life to the 19-year-old who lives at home with mum and dad and doesn't study or doesn't work and just comes to training and has a laugh. Like, sometimes the girls are at the beach on a Tuesday morning, like having coffees. I'm like, well, I've got a 10-hour day shift that I've got to get to. Like, it's just different. But I think 12, 18 months ago, I was like, let's just embrace that. And how great. Like, they're so energetic. They love being there and it's infectious. So I wouldn't have it any other way. I love it.
Do you think the dynamic between men's teams and women's teams internally is different? Like you said, you've had like quite a good connection between the two, but are they very different teams, sides, people?
Yeah. I think like the understanding of what each party does is different. Like, I wouldn't be able to sit there and go, I understand the pressure that Luke Shuey's under when you're playing in front of 50, 60, 70, 100,000 people week in, week out, 100,000 members, millions of people tuning in, watching your games. I can't understand that pressure. We played in front of 1,200 on the weekend. Our family, most of the time, are the ones that are watching. Maybe, you know, we've got fans and that, but nowhere near the pressure that the men's program is under week in, week out. But vice versa, like he probably can't sit there and go, I understand the pressure that you guys go through financially. We make money playing football, obviously, but we're not thriving. Like, the money that we're earning is surviving, not thriving. Whereas on the flip, like, the men are earning some decent money, being able to set themselves up post footy career. Even our highest paid players at the moment aren't earning enough to set themselves up post-footy career. As I said, I describe it as they're surviving. They're not, they're not thriving in terms of how much they're earning. So different dynamic, I think, in that respect. The program contact hours are so different as well. So before I was saying we train during the day, which we do, which is great, and the professionalism is stepping in the right direction, but we still train on Monday night, still at the club on the physio table at 9:30. We get grab-and-go dinners that we go take home and chuck in the microwave because sometimes you don't get home till 10 o'clock at night. And then a lot of the girls, Tuesday being a day off, will be up at 5 or 6 o'clock to go to work, the girls who do work. So different, I think, dynamics between the two programs, but respectfully different. Yeah.
There's also like a pressure, like the W competition's been going for a little while now, but you're still sort of trailblazing. It's still new. Do you feel pressure around that, like being almost responsible for that?
Yeah, I think so. I think I find like I'm pretty stoic in, I'm like, oh, there's people getting paid more money than me sitting around nice tables making decisions like at the AFL to do what they can with the game. Like I can only have my personal opinion to how we should be marketing the game or whatever. There's professionals doing that. So I think I like wrongly or rightly go, I'm just doing the best I can. And I always stick by the players and say like, we're all just doing it. No one's rocking up trying to suck. Like we're all just trying to do our best, right? So whether that's drawing in crowds or not drawing in the crowds or the TV audience, like there's probably other people that probably would feel that pressure a little bit more than us. As long as us as players come in, enjoy what we're doing and work our butts off, like I think everything else is out of our hands, right?
The competition's getting better though. I've been, and I'll put my hand up. I'm not the world's biggest expert. I'm certainly not even the world's biggest expert in the men's competition. In fact, I'm far from it, given my predictions this year.
Kmart Kane.
Yeah, that was very good on Twitter. The competition's getting better, from what I can see.
Yeah.
Like a lot better.
Yeah.
The quality.
The quality.
Like we mentioned Ella Roberts. I'm just saying that because I heard it from her mouth. But these kids that are coming into the game have played
whole life, right?
They've played football for 10 years.
Yeah.
You hadn't done that.
Nah, and I think that's where I know there's a lot of people who might watch the game and expect to see what they see when they watch men's footy because it's football and you're wanting to see the product is like in my point of view, like you've got to completely separate the products. They're completely different products and they'll never be the same.
Agree.
They will never be the same. So if you're tuning in to one of our games on the weekend and expecting to see a Collingwood v Carlton men's game, like just don't. Yeah. Like watch our games for our games and understand the stories behind. I think that's the best part of the W at the moment is the background stories. You've got fireys, you've got doctors, you've got people who got told at 12 they could never play. You got players who are playing who took their local teams to court to try and play. Like the stories are unbelievable. That's what makes the product so amazing. I think as it'll start to change, as you said, Ella Roberts has played since she was 6 and you can tell, like the girl can kick, mark. She knows just natural ability to find space. Oh, there's going to be so many more of her coming through. Maybe she's a generational one, but there's going to be other girls who are coming through in that sort of bracket who have played since our 6. The game will start to develop a little bit different. You will probably see better skills. But I still think the product is just totally separate to the men's product. And I think where we're going to come unstuck is if people are tuning in expecting to see something they don't want to see, and then that's when the backlash comes or the negative Twitter comments and stuff like that.
For people that haven't watched a lot of your footy, Emma Swanson's footy, describe yourself as a player.
Oh, I'm probably a bit of a hack. Yeah.
You said you can't turn like the Queen Mary, but how about I describe it? I reckon you're in the top echelon of hard players in the AFLW. You're a hard hitter. You're in and under. You got quality, and you're underselling yourself with quality. But like I've seen a couple of hits from you that. Like, do you enjoy that element of the game, the physicality?
Yeah, I listened to you guys with Bo Waters actually, not a couple of weeks ago.
I would say, okay.
Yeah, I was listening to him talk about the physical aspect of the game, and I was like, that's my favourite part of the game, really. Like I love the tackling, the bumping. I think it's starting to change a little bit now. Alicia Eva, she's my good mate, captain of the Giants. She just got rubbed out for a week for this tackle, and I'm like, oh, like. The amount of times that I've done things like that So you're consciously now trying to change the way you play a little bit. And I'm getting older, so let's prolong my body. That sounds like a really good idea. But I do love that physical aspect of the game. When we could bump before, I'd definitely like to lay a few shepherds and there's like the argument like the match winning goal or the game saving tackle any day.
Is that right?
That's what I'd choose. Yeah.
Have you had any of those?
I don't know. I wouldn't say it was like on the buzzer game saving, but we played. I think it was maybe one of the Melbourne Western Bulldogs games. I was like in the dying couple of minutes of the game and just laid a good tackle, and I just could feel everything change. I was like, oh, that's it. The game's done. We've won, which is pretty cool.
We're going to find that. Thank you, Jaden.
Yeah.
I want to look at that. I don't know. You got anything else?
It's all been good.
For Emma? What
You leading me in or
No, not just yet. We'll get to social media in a second. Let's put a nice bow on it. What do you see personally the future holding for you as you continue to play in the league and the AFLW as a whole? What's the future hold?
I know the CBA is being announced today, so I know what the next 5 years look like for the competition. I'd love to see there be an opportunity for girls to play all year round if they want, or not all year round, but a full home and away season. And I think everyone's got their different views, and personally, my point of view sort of aligns more with games played over money paid. We obviously need the money, but I'd like to see more games being played. I think that's where the competition's going to get better the more we play together. As I said before, like takes me nearly 2.5 seasons to equal what Boots would do as a captain in a year. So, I'd love to see there be a time where we play 17 home and away games plus a final series. We get our 8 weeks annual leave off. We can go and travel the world, and because we're earning such good money, we don't have to work.
8 weeks is unders, mate. They've got about 16 weeks at the moment, the blokes.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
While you're putting out fires, you got boys over in Europe and Israel and who else knows where, everywhere I got to go.
Yeah.
What about you? How long's the game got for you in it?
Yeah, I think it is a decision, right? Like, I think leading into this CBA, I was a pretty logical thinker, like take in all the information and then just make the right decision for my life. Like, I'm sort of not like an emotional decision maker. But I was thinking, I was like, geez, if it goes to as much as I said I want it to be 17 home and away games, like we play everyone once, long season, more money. If it came to the decision now to quit your job and play footy for the next 2-3 years, 100% I'd do it.
Yeah.
But knowing now that that's not going to happen in this next CBA, which is 5 years, pretty safe. I'm pretty safe being a fiery at the same time, and I'll just try and manage that for as long as I can. Would I like to see out the 5-year CBA deal? That would make me 33. Absolutely. As you said, these girls are coming through now. They've played since they were 6. They are way better than me. So I'm hanging on by the skin of my teeth.
I like the self-deprecation, I do. But you're an absolute superstar, best and fairest, all Australian squads. I can see you getting...
Maybe off a halfback.
Correct.
Yeah.
You just get the career savers on.
That's
get
it.
Back to the back line.
Yeah.
It's been a really interesting chat, Emma. You had fun?
Yeah, I have. Thank you guys for having me.
We're not done yet. Social media. No, that's not right. Social media, where the people get asked you the questions. Quite a popular little figure over on social media.
Absolutely.
So we've got the questions from the people.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
I haven't seen these yet. Twillo, 1992.
Was it more pressure being a marquee player or coming back home to West Coast? I guess you were both.
West Coast, I'd say. More pressure at West Coast.
Yes.
Big club.
Mustaz, 84.
The AFLW season has moved around. What time of the year is best?
I hope the AFL don't listen to this. I'm a summer girl. I think the clean air, missing the men's finals at the moment, I find it really, as a fan of the men's game, I am so entrenched in the men's final series, I'm not watching the W. And if I'm a player, I'm not watching the W. Probably a lot of people who are making the same choices as me.
That's interesting.
I liked the summertime slot.
I didn't ask. I like sort of just injecting myself into this. It is my segment, so I can do what I like. I didn't ask like what sort of role models and players in the AFLs and AFLW you looked up to when you were growing up. Was it Collingwood players?
Yeah.
Who are your favourite players?
Like I still love Scott Pendlebury.
Yeah.
And have just loved watching him for so long. Daisy Thomas.
Daisy.
Yeah. I reckon Daisy was the first one that I was number on the jumper.
Yes.
Just loved it. And because we went to Melbourne for a family holiday and hung over the fence and watched them train, just loved it. And also when teams used to come here to play West Coast, Dad would take us to their open training. So it'd be like Port Adelaide training, Collingwood training, whoever the away team was, we'd go watch the training, and Dad was just a footy nut. So
that's cool. Where, at Subi?
At Subi. Yeah. Used to catch the train up Friday afternoons. It would be 4, I reckon, if they played on a Saturday. But I used to remember after school on a Friday hopping on the train, coming up, watching the open training of whoever it was.
Did you have any memorable interactions with players?
Yeah, well, I used to collect footy cards, so I would then take the footy cards from that team and try and get them signed. I can't remember who it was, but someone was training and they've pinged a hammy, and Dad's obviously seen this. I didn't really understand what was going on, and they've come off the track, but I'm standing there just between the race asking for them to sign a card, and they're just cold-shouldered straight out.
Ooh.
F word, out. And then Dad had to explain to me why. I must have been pretty. I wouldn't have understood what has happened. Now I'm like, gosh, if that was
yourself.
I would have whacked the card out of there. Nah, I wouldn't have.
Did you ever come down and watch West Coast train?
No, I can't really remember. No,
Hates West Coast.
Yeah.
Hated West Coast as a kid. That's good. That's really interesting. Dean Beazle.
Could you see a future where you don't need to be in the fire service?
We sort of touched on that.
Yeah.
Didn't we? Maybe take the fire service out of it, but can you see a future where girls don't have to have a job and play footy?
Yeah, it would be nice to have. I think the key word in this is it would be really nice to have the option too.
Yep.
Because I think one of the number one, this could be wrong, and you could probably tell us, Will, but one of the number one problems coming out of the men's game at the moment, a guy's getting spat out of the system with no experience in anything.
Yep.
Yeah. And even if you've studied, right, if you've done a degree over 8 years in the AFL system and you come out and you're applying for a job against someone who's got 8 years industry experience, not every player who comes out of the system has a name who you get them in because we know they're a lot of guys leave the system. You read past their name, you wouldn't even know who they are. So I think that's a huge issue, talking about the welfare side of football, huge issue coming out of the men's game. Why would we just follow it and do the exact same thing as a W program if we have the choice not to? So I think the key word is can we get to a point where you have the option to work and maintain a job 2.5 days a week if you can.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I've always come out and you've hit the nail on the head. There's so many of my former teammates and even myself, honestly, coming out, I had no great plan. I was in the system for 14 years and you get so caught up in playing footy and trying to be the best in an elite environment. You're the best in the country. So I always use the example, you don't see doctors trying to studying law to become a lawyer, and you don't see plumbers doing an accounting degree.
Yeah,
you don't see
that's so true.
The education element is study and this isn't going to last forever. It's okay, but it certainly won't last forever if I don't apply myself at the football club.
Yeah.
So that's where I think the biggest issue lies. So you could be onto something there because I've never come up with a solution because I just think that your first priority has got to be footy.
Yeah, I know, and I see that I'd like it to go. You train Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I know the men's program has your mandatory off day and a half, I think, at the moment, something like that. You got to have 2 completely free days and then you can allow working time. But
the actual working element as opposed to study is an interesting one. I've always felt like work placements, experience in actual industry is better than studying.
Yeah, yep.
Sorry. Tom _Withers. It's a good chat.
Is Andrea Gilmore actually a good cook?
Yes. That's my partner, Andrea. She's an amazing cook, but I think Tom's just having a cheeky dig there.
Right. Do you cook?
Not much.
So you're not a good cook.
I don't need to be. I don't need to be.
You got Andrea.
Yeah.
That's good. Tom, thank you for the info. Brady Hoff fan page. Holy moly.
I love that. What's your favourite flavour of Gatorade?
Lemon? Is it
lemon?
Don't be flipping about
That's
it.
the worst.
Is it lemon lime?
What colour is it?
The like yellow colour.
Dan's got a
Lime
stick
green-ish.
for it.
Lime, yeah.
Yeah. Lemon lime.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
like
your
the
favourite?
That's
Yeah.
rank. That's the worst
We used to
one.
make it at home. Dad used to make it for us
I
before
would
T-ball.
I would happily say that's the worst flavour.
Really? What would be the best?
Orange.
Wallaby Gold Rush.
Oh,
That's Powerade. It's not Gatorade, bro.
Oh, sorry. Grape.
grape.
Great.
Oh yeah, the purple one.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
so
that's
good.
pretty good.
Or the clear watermelon.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
Oh, blimey.
I'm going to go back to the dart soon. John _Dawson.
Does the leadership group have to be on-field coaches to make the team better?
That's a good question. I think yes. Like you obviously lead the coach's vision and the coach's game plan. Particularly with like, I think where that comes into play now, the runner only comes out in our game twice a quarter.
What? As in mandate? Like they're not allowed out more than twice?
Yeah, I think after goals and twice a quarter. So
Right.
there's like restricted
Right.
runner. So things like a couple of quick goals, drop a loose behind the ball, that stuff like that, we have to real generate ourselves. Definitely not my strength. So I'm lucky we've got some pretty switched on girls.
Who is good at that at the club?
B. Smith's pretty unreal with that stuff.
Can imagine that.
Yeah, real football head, knows what the game needs in the right moment. I'm just like your midfielder who's like, it's all the same for me.
Belinda Smith's
Belinda
I wouldn't say dour, but she's a proper defender.
Yeah.
Like she just gets the job done.
Yeah.
She's
She's-
probably my favourite player. To be honest.
She's defender.
She was one of the
Defender,
first
blood
games.
is defender.
Yeah, like one of the first games I ever called. She just dominated her opponent. I was like, yeah, she's mine.
Gets the fist in.
Yeah.
Kicked a goal last week. First
yeah.
ever goal. She played for 8 years.
Was it?
Yeah, first ever goal. Which that screams defender, right?
Absolutely. Tom Barras took him 100 games. Yeah. Weller _1989. I'm interested in this question.
What's Hammer like as a coach?
Oh, he's good.
Is he?
Yeah. Do we want to talk him up?
Yep.
We can talk him up.
we can do both.
Yeah.
Give him a clip.
One of those
Little
sandwiches,
clip,
yeah.
and then
Nah, he's unbelievable. I think there's something about coaching when you're still playing that I think he's the only coach I've ever had that's still been playing at a high level while coaching. He understands the game is hard. For some reason, coaches I think forget. Like they might have played at the top level, whatever, retired, became a coach, and all of a sudden they just forget how hard the game is. Hammer just doesn't have that. He's good. He knows. He'll show me vision, and he's like, look, like perfect would be here, but I understand. You've had a tackle, you've been hit, like you can't breathe.
Yes.
Here's good enough.
Yes.
Sort of, yeah.
Give him a clip. Like
Yeah, what's
that's
the worst
positive.
thing about him?
He used this. This is my ick with Hammer.
Great.
Perfect.
He had the best pre-game like rev up story.
Yes.
Awesome. Bit of like Serena versus Venus Williams
Right.
analogy.
Oh, went real sort of
Awesome.
right.
So good. Used it in our practice game against Freo.
And he
Wasted
hasn't
it.
returned to greatness.
I was like, if this is a practice, round one's going to be epic, Hammer. Like,
He's dropped the ball.
nah, dropped it.
So we had him on. He won the Sandover. I'm sure he's let you know about that.
Probably wearing it to training.
He wears it, yeah.
he told us that. So you guys got pumped that week, and I told you I wouldn't speak about that. But you had a midfield meeting on the Monday, Sandover medal. He was thinking about doing the midfield meeting in his tuxedo. How would that have been received from the girls if he rolled in there in a tuxedo?
Love that. I love it. That is so good. That's the best part about a footy club, right? Is that kind of stuff.
Yes.
That would have been epic. I'm actually disappointed he didn't do that.
Well, maybe we can organise it for this week when the
Yeah.
Brownlow's on.
True.
Because he's going to
Yeah.
have to be coming.
He's going to be wearing it Monday
if we
night.
had have won, I reckon he probably would have done
Tuxedo,
it. Yeah.
correct. Make
Yeah.
him bring the Sandover in as well. Last one, Tappy 95.
How does Emma like her eggs? Sincerely, the Eggman.
I actually don't like eggs.
There you go.
Yeah.
At
I'm
all?
not as
Gun
like
to your head. Have
if
to
I-
eat eggs.
if I'm being polite, like I'd have like a fried egg or something, but
Yes.
I wouldn't
You don't have
choose
to be polite
have
to the eggs. Like,
eggs.
Yeah,
Nah.
it's more people like, oh, what are we going to cook here today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People always go eggs, but no. Yeah, I don't really like eggs.
All right, so
But-
PSA, don't cook Emma Swanson eggs. She
Yeah.
doesn't want them.
No one.
If I have to, like I don't know, fried.
No one's ever said soldiers. No one's ever
Oh,
said.
yeah, dippy
Oh,
egg.
yeah.
Like Masto.
It's a dippy egg.
Dippy
Yeah.
egg. Oh.
Growing up, none of that.
Nah.
The last one I want to finish with is the very last question. Have I or have I not? And I will say, in my defence, I have not done this. This is on Stephen Bandy in the football club. You're hosting a hosting podcast.
Yeah.
Inside Swoop.
Yeah, I did do that for a year.
You did that for a year, right? I did a thing at West Coast this year on Wednesdays. It's called the Inside Swoop.
Oh yeah,
It's
you
called
were.
the Inside Swoop. They've blatantly stolen your podcast name.
Yeah,
I reckon you were the
did
first
say
host of it.
this.
Good.
I said to Thumper the other day.
Yes.
I was like, we should have taken that name, and it had an intro song in it. I haven't listened to the Inside Swoop now. I haven't listened to one.
Don't
I wouldn't
bother.
Does it have an intro?
Don't even know.
Okay. Because if it has the same intro song as what we had,
They've got issues.
Yeah.
Emma, it's been awesome having you on, mate. Really appreciate the insights. Been a big fan of yours from afar, but it's good to get to know you in here.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
BackChat _ is socials. hello@backchatpodcast.com.au is their email. You can find everything at backchatstudios.com.au. We got merch over there. We got some coming your way. If you're okay with that, Emma.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Big shout out to our patrons, Fleet Network. Thank you for powering the podcast. Swimply, Whippersnapper Whisky, Margaret River Roasting Co., BlueBet, Shelter Brewing Co., Leadable Cameras, Mumba Digital. If that's not on the run sheet next week, I'm going to spew up. Stick around for one more question from Emma Swanson. Thank you very much.